Much to elitists and gatekeepers' chagrin, not all music and rock has to be serious. It truly doesn't. Even if songs are worshipped in music history, that doesn't mean the track was originally meant to be taken that way. Sometimes the musicians are just goofing off and that joking around is successful. This video looks at 10 rock songs originally written as a joke. There are way more songs on your favorite albums that you would think that were actually just a joke. That's it, nothing else. That's how I'm qualifying this list. The song has to have been intended as some type of joke in some way by the band that made it. This is not a top 10, no ranking, just a list. Also, only one song entry per band, as many bands have more than one joke song. Finally, I'm excluding comedy and parody bands from the list. That defeats the point of all this. You know how these videos work, let's get to it. My Chemical Romance might be emo gods to many of you Black Parade lovers, but please understand Gerard & Company are not always deathly serious. The band could get a little cheeky, especially when other famous bands are selling out to Twilight movies. So much so that they dedicated the song Vampire Money at the end of Danger Days as a big joke song to bands they saw as sellouts. With so much of My Chemical Romance being dramatic, intense, serious, and anthemic, then you get a song where the group is laughing at other bands who are sucking up to be a part of the Twilight movie soundtracks. They were offered a massive amount of money as well to be a part of those soundtracks, but My Chemical Romance turned it down. It's so much of a not serious track that the group considers it an end credit style song for Danger Days and should not be seen as the end of the album itself. It's just an additional track that's breaking the fourth wall a bit. Gerard Way said in an early 2010s interview, "That's why the song Vampire Money is on there, because there's a lot of people chasing that money. Twilight, a lot of people around us were like, please, for the love of God, do this movie," but we'd moved on. I also need to point out that the following year, My Chemical Romance would contribute to the Transformers Dark of the Moon soundtrack. I'll let you in the comment section do what you will with that information. I don't want to get into it. I understand that Blur is massive in the UK. In the United States, they are mostly known for just one song, Song 2. That's not insulting Blur, but it's just kind of a fact. 1997 had Song 2 playing everywhere and was a nice blip from a fading alternative scene, but many people aren't aware of the song's origin. Song 2 is literally making fun of grunge music. This is Blur's shot at grunge bands and fans, especially post-grunge. Blur didn't even want this song as a single. Damon Albarn meant this song specifically to poke fun at post-grunge music. Such little thought was put into the song that it was named Song 2 because the track ran 2 minutes 2 seconds, and the band then made it the second track of the self-titled album. Song 2 was meant to be a nonsense song with a loud chorus, that's it. Literally meant to be a dumb track with no true meaning. It became one of the biggest things the band had ever done and is a staple of 90s music. I find it interesting that Song 2 actually is better than a lot of post-grunge that came out in the late 90s. The track making fun of a subgenre was actually better music than many songs in said subgenre. Speaking of grunge, Nirvana has more than one joke song with intentionally ridiculous lyrics just because Kurt Cobain was Kurt Cobain. Possibly the biggest grunge song of all time is somehow an emotional, nostalgic ride for millions, and it definitely was a play on a ridiculous situation that Cobain was in, and he just rolled with it to make Smells Like Teen Spirit something that is remembered forever. Not all Nirvana's music was as dour and bleak as grunge fanatics give credit. The rhythm and sound of Smells Like Teen Spirit was even formed from Cobain's love for the Pixies, but it's the line "Smells Like Teen Spirit" where all this stems. According to legend, Kurt Cobain, who was at the time with Bikini Kill singer Kathleen Hanna, saw the phrase "Kurt smells like teen spirit" written on the wall. Teen Spirit being the deodorant brand at the time, and the joke being Kurt smells like it after some certain activities. There was more debauchery as to what those debaucherous activities were and why the joke was written out, but I need to keep this PG-13 for YouTube's sake. It was all a joke, and what's wilder is that Cobain didn't know Teen Spirit was a deodorant brand until after the song was released. He thought Teen Spirit was more of a slogan like punk rebellion in youth. I guess that's what it became? I mean, as long as it's not actual gross teen sweat. I truly feel that Beck is one of the unsung creative geniuses in the 90s alternative scene because no one else was making music like he was, and he was a much stronger musician than people gave credit. Part of him not getting credit until years into his career is because Beck's biggest song, Loser, is a bit ludicrous when you break it down. What many people don't know is that the song is intentionally ludicrous.
The song Loser was proof that a talented musician can sing nonsense and people won't always catch on. Beck noticed this in the early 90s, and while playing long sets in noisy clubs, he found out he could sing glorified gibberish and many would not catch on. In an old interview, Beck explained, "I'd be banging away on Sunhouse tunes and the whole audience would be talking, so maybe out of desperation or boredom or the audience's boredom, I make up these ridiculous songs just to see if people were listening. Loser was an extension of that." I love the upfront honesty in this, and over the past few decades, Beck has become a brilliant and well-composed artist, all after becoming famous for a song like Loser. There are many roads to success, and sometimes seeing if anyone is paying attention can help you.
Blink-182 have a lot of humor in their music, especially in the 90s, that's a given. When the band tried to get a little heavier and a touch more serious in 2001, not everyone was happy at MCA, and the band's manager demanded a catchy, feel-good track. Out of spite, the group got together and made the cheesiest, most cliché song they could think of while being as catchy as possible for the manager.
That joke went so well that The Rock Show became one of Blink's biggest hit songs ever. It's a song born out of snark and passive-aggressive behavior where the joke was to be as phoned in and basic as possible, and their label ate it up. I love The Rock Show too, don't get it twisted that I think the song is bad. I just love that when Blink-182 wanted to go in a slightly different direction, they were told, "No, make the catchy pop-punk cheese." And the band got sassy and tried to rub it in their faces with what they saw as a joke song and what they thought was dumb. Label loved it, fans loved it, and the joke song was featured on a very serious album, Take Off Your Pants and Jacket. I admit the line between serious and shenanigans with Blink-182 is very blurred and possibly not existent.
Even if this song was way before I was born, I and most are familiar with You Ain't Seen Nothing Yet. Used in endless movies and TV spots over the years, as well as being one of the two biggest hits from Bachman-Turner Overdrive, the song seems simple enough. It's nothing worth really thinking too in depth. Understandable when you find out the song was a joke, but not so much as the reason why.
I wish that wasn't true, but it is. Gary Bachman is one of the Bachman brothers who was the band's manager for a while, who also had a bad stutter. When Gary Bachman stepped down as manager of Bachman-Turner Overdrive, the group got together and made this song as a joke to him. It was never meant to be put on the album. It was meant for a joke for Gary, until the record label received an album that they didn't feel have a good enough single. The band retaliated by sending them this joke song, and the record company loved it and didn't know it was a joke at all. Bachman-Turner Overdrive even tried to make a serious recording without the stutter, but the record label didn't like that as much. The stutter stayed, and the song went to #1 on Billboard. Doesn't everyone feel a little more awful with this story now? Because I don't know how to feel about Bachman-Turner anymore.
First time you heard the title of Kings of Leon's biggest song in their career, there's a good chance you probably laughed or at least smiled a little. When you hear the song, you don't really hear it as comedy or a joke either. Truth is that the song title and how the song was made was much less serious than Kings of Leon fans would like to admit. So much so that the band couldn't stop laughing while making it.
Caleb Followell didn't even want to finish making this song. He couldn't think of lyrics to go with the melody. He had an original idea for singing "Set Us on Fire" as a lyric hook though, and it works. You can hear that line placed in the song instantly as soon as you hear it too. So how did it take such a different turn? While in the studio, Caleb sang "This Sex is on Fire" and the whole band laughed. They laughed so much they encouraged him to finish the song with that lyric instead. They all got a chuckle out of it. They even sang a bunch of other dumb stuff to take the place, like "Socks on Fire" and "Crotch on Fire." Kings of Leon were apparently 13 years old at the time when they wrote this. The song won Kings of Leon many awards, multi-platinum success, and a lot of inside joke laughs. Good for them.
The banner anthem of the Beastie Boys was absolutely not meant to be taken the way it was, so much so that the group hated how "You Gotta Fight for Your Right to Party" represented them. This was, and in many ways is, still the main association with the Beastie Boys, and it was a joke song ripping on dumb hair metal and party rock songs of the 80s and their fan bases who act like party animals.
When you do a deep dive on Beastie Boys, you understand pretty quick that "Fight for Your Right" is the furthest thing from what the band is all about. It was Beastie Boys producer that asked them to record it for License to Ill, and this became their first hit song. The following music video was also just a way to make fun of hard rock music and the fan base. People did not understand that message, and the hard rock fans in the 80s loved the song and video as they felt it spoke to them in a positive way. The song exacerbated the problem Beastie Boys saw in the people they were trying to make fun of. Beastie Boys would stop performing the song live altogether and pretty much denounced everything "Fight for Your Right to Party" represented, even if it launched them into the spotlight as legends.
Deftones really regretted trying to get cheeky with Back to School. As someone who loves White Pony, I mean, it's one of my all-time favorite albums, the remade mini Maggit version was quite different from the flow of the rest of White Pony. There's a great reason for that, as this was Chino Moreno's attempt to write a crappy commercial pop track just to show how record label executives how easy it is to write a joke song like this.
Deftones were trying to evolve and do their own thing, which was unique in 2000s nu metal, but the label said there wasn't a good enough single. Back to School Mini Maggit is the petty, backhanded joke and some of the schlock that record labels think is what radio wants, and Deftone went and made an intentionally bad song and not to be serious. Turns out the joke was on Deftones, as the song charted and helped push the album even more, and the label would re-release the album with Mini Maggit included. Oops. The joke came out of frustration, and I get that. It's pointing out what mainstream rock radio was looking for, the format, and in turn, the joke was not as well received as the band intended. I'm thankful I got my copy of White Pony back in the day when it came without this track. Sometimes it pays to get the music on day of release.
Not only was Sweet Child of Mine written in roughly 5 minutes, but one of the biggest rock songs of the 80s was also originally seen as a joke and only meant to be album filler. Proof that Guns N' Roses could have put any song on Appetite for Destruction and it would have worked. That's a testament to the band and album, even if Sweet Child of Mine was not meant to be anything serious ever.
That iconic opening riff from Slash was originally a guitar exercise. It's how he would warm up with string skipping. That's it. When the rest of the band heard the exercise as a riff, everyone started chiming in on how to make something out of it. Axl Rose heard it and started writing out lyrics. Originally, the song was longer with a third verse, but the band's producer cut it down to 2 verses and a long final fade out. Axl was put on the spot and just started singing "Where Do We Go Now" because he didn't know how to finish it. One of the most cherished songs in rock history was a goof song written around a guitar exercise, and Axl Rose not able to finish the track with anything meaningful. They put it on Appetite for Destruction as a filler track, literally thinking it would just be ignored. Joke's on them, I guess. And that was a look at 10 songs originally written as a joke. Know of another song that was not meant to be so serious? Leave a comment, let everyone know. Big thanks to my patrons, and special thanks to Krist Novoselic and Dom Noble. You can have a say in upcoming videos, get weekly new music playlists, and see videos early by supporting Rocked on Patreon. Click the link in the video description on how to help the channel. Please subscribe and ring the bell to get notified on upcoming videos, and you can keep up to date with Rocked on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, and TikTok. I want to point out at the end that at no time did I make the lame joke of, "This person writes joke songs all the time because he is a joke." Ha 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 ha. I'm proud of myself for not going that low.